the roots basically in that word. In Ngweji, you go Ngwe, Ngwe is a leopard. It could be Ingwe, maybe in South Africa. It could be Ngwe, Ngwe definitely in the Congo. It could change to Ngwe or Ngo, but it basically the fundamental part of it is that is a leopard, and everyone from Cameroon, even from Mali, if they are aware of African names or the name of the leopard, they should be able to identify that. So that's just is profound. And also for the name of Comrade Marquis, like the name of Longi, that's a fundamental name. That's a teacher. And you know the significance of a teacher. That's leadership. So people know your name. They expect you to behave like someone who can provide leadership, someone who has logic, someone who anticipates things. There are a lot of things that can be said about, Ngweji, the name for Manika, the leopards, the courage, also the leadership, because the leopard is the sign associated with any legitimate leader in Africa, because the neo-colonialist leaders, what they do, you probably noticed that many of them have pictures of themselves wearing leopard skin hats or wearing something that basically tells the Africans, I'm legitimate because I'm having a leopard. They stole it because they know that's the tradition, that if you're a real legitimate African leader, you must have the leopard from the Pharaoh's time up to this present day. So that's the name I think is really, I think, appropriate for anyone, particularly in the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, because we also claiming back what the neo-colonialists have stolen. They are the fake leaders. The revolutionaries have to be the real leaders. So that's also true for the Comrade Marquis, as I was saying, Longi. There are a lot of things to say about Longi, as the name that means the one who teaches, the one who shows, clarifies, chases out darkness out of the people, open up new horizons to the people. It's a profound name, and the other name he has, Shungo. Shungo, that's wisdom, and leadership. You need foresight, but you also need wisdom, and it gives him, all these aspects. So overall, I think I love these names myself. The name of Shungo, wisdom, I love it. Ngweji, the military a person, the military commander, a person of war, for African liberation. I mean, that's great. So I just want to, add these comments, and that's you have to know that with these names, Africa is saying it's going home too, because in time for internet, a lot of people go online, they see Ngweji, let me talk to Ngweji, and a lot of people in the continent will do that. When I see Shungo, Shungo is a popular name. Everybody from Congo knows Shungo. They know Shungo, because some popular names also, some popular people also in Congo carry that names. So it was, I'm sure when he goes on a Facebook, some people will definitely will be in touch, and that's always fear I want to say, Chairman. And once again, I just want to apologize for missing this, because I was sitting in my computer, just checking through my email. That was Gmail, not yahoo.com. So, I apologize for that. Uhuru, Chairman. Uhuru Marquis.
Uhuru, thank you, Secretary General. Comrade Luizi, as I mentioned to you before, that Comrade Luizi really is our expert on these matters and questions. Is a profound leader and teacher himself, especially surrounding African culture and discovering the revolutionary aspects of African culture, forwarding the revolutionary aspects of African culture, and studying over long periods of time languages, the meaning of different terms and languages, and helping us to understand, generally speaking, that there are only about 5 or 6 of all the hundreds of African languages. If one could really master about 5 or 6 of them, one could really communicate all over the continent of Africa. The point being, of course, that African culture is much more universal than is often suggested by, especially by the colonizers and those who have been heavily influenced by the colonizers. So what I would like to do, is it possible to put both those names up on the shared screen so that we can get a sense of the participants, the attendees, the village, if you will, of appreciation and or unity with what we have just put forward in terms of the names of these comrades. And I guess I don't know if I'm speaking to Comrade Matsamela or not when I asked that, but I also well then, let me ask you this. Yeah, I would like to have those names up. Yeah, okay. Okay, so Comrade Marquise Anderson is on this day, with the permission of the village, with the unity of the village, and Comrade Malika become reborn with the names of, for Malika, Bukechi Ngweji, is that Ngweji?
Yeah,
Ngweji.
Yeah, Ngweji.
And so I think there's a way that you can express unity with this by, can you find the chat? I'm sorry. I did it one time. I thought I had, yeah, there's on the chat, on the bottom of the screen, if I'm not mistaken, there's a way that you can express unity with this determination by clicking. Okay, yeah, here we are. On the let's go ahead and open it up and allow people to express their unity with this determination. I see Akingi has united. That's in the chat room, but I need some help from the okay. So I see basic statements of unity here, but
Uhuru, yes, Chairman. I see a lot of hands up. And Uhuru, I unite. It looks like the village unite with these two comrades' new names. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Okay, so I want to thank you and Comrade Marquise is now Marquise Longi Shungu, and Comrade Malika is Malika Bukechi Ngweji. So you will be receiving a rebirth certificate soon. And here it is. Here's the certificate of rebirth. That's for Comrade Malika Bukechi Ngweji, September 12, 2020, on behalf of the African Nation and the African People Sources Party, we present this certificate of rebirth. And Comrade Marquise Ungi Shungu, there's a certificate of rebirth. So Uhuru Comrades. I want to thank everybody for participation in this, I think, incredibly significant presentation, part of the convention. And again, just state that this in many ways is a continuation of a culture from last night. It is recognition that real culture for the enslaved has to be a revolutionary culture, that there's no validity in any cultural expression that does not contribute to killing colonialism and destroying the colonizer. That's part of the mission of the colonized people, and the naming process is same. It contributes to the death of colonialism by killing both the colonized and the colonizer. We reject colonialism, and that is what these comrades have done on today with this participation in this process. So Uhuru, and thank you. Thank you, Comrade Luizi, for the,
Uhuru, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, SG Luizi.
Africa's going home. Come on.
Yeah.
Uhuru, right on.
Good. Comrade President, is it you or Comrade Jainaba? Who now?
Uhuru, can the host undo the stop on my video, please? Uhuru. Okay. Those names are remarkably beautiful and significant, and I unite with those names. I think they're absolutely remarkable. Congratulations again. So continuing forward, did you know that in 1976, Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party formed the African People's Solidarity Committee? Uhuru. Not only that, but in the 1980s, the African People's Socialist Party formed a fraternal bond with Unión del Barrio, a Mexican revolutionary organization based in occupied San Diego, California. For decades, the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement has outlined what true socialist internationalist solidarity looks like. We will now receive solidarity statements. Uhuru Comrades.
Who's up?
The first out.
Go ahead, Comrade Penny, are you there?
Uhuru.
Uhuru, I'm here.
Please.
1 second. All right, I just want to start by saying that this has been so profound. I want to salute the naming ceremony, this beautiful convention, and the amazing and very moving cultural event last night. The African People's Solidarity Committee is deeply moved and honored to extend our salute to the annual convention of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. We salute President Kalambai and Annette for her bold and courageous leadership, and we salute NPDM's leadership body and membership. And from the African People's Solidarity Committee, we salute our leadership and the founder of the African People's Solidarity Committee and NPDM, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the leader of the African Nation, and Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, the architect of the Black Power Blueprint. As the organization of white people formed by and working under the direct leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, the African People's Solidarity Committee has the mandate to organize as the voice of Black power in white face inside the belly of the beast, AKA the white population. Our assigned mission is to win white reparations to African people, and this is based on the fact that the lives of all white people rest on the pedestal built on the backs of African people whose kidnapping, enslavement, and colonization on this land stolen from the indigenous people created the wealth and prosperity that we take for granted. The African People's Solidarity Committee and our mass organization, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, salute the tremendous work of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement as the dynamic organization defending the interest and democratic and human rights of the African working class, whose struggles against the white colonizers have always led the world in setting the bar for what true justice and liberation look like. We salute the profound campaigns of Impedum, including the fight for the world to recognize that the colonial assault on African people for the past 600 years constitutes genocide. We salute the fight to keep the 28 wards in St. Louis as part of the struggle for political and economic power in the hands of the African working class and the Black Power blueprint. We salute Impedum's consistent organizing deep into the masses of African people, transforming the political terrain throughout the world, wherever Impedum is building, going beyond protest into building the infrastructure of the African Revolution. We salute this historic convention this weekend and know that it will advance the struggle for the liberation of Africa and African people everywhere. Uhuru and reparations now.
Uhuru. Moving on, in Lingala, the meaning of the name Ilikia means hope, and Ngoma means dance in East Africa, which makes perfect sense for our next segment. The next presenter is my comrade Ilikia Ngoma. Ilikia truly embodies.
We have other solidarity statements.
Uhuru?
We have other solidarity statements that haven't been read yet.
Oh, Uhuru. Is that for Benjamin? Uhuru.
Uhuru Comrades, on behalf, first of all, to Comrade Chairman Omalia Shatella, Comrade President Kalambai and the NET, and comrades of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, on behalf of Unión del Barrio, we would like to salute the 2020 29th Annual International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement's Convention. It constitutes a profound honor for Unión del Barrio to participate in this important gathering for the significance that this convention represents in building the struggle for the self-determination of the African people and all colonized people everywhere. Inspired by the trajectory of our people's history of struggle, Unión del Barrio stands in unity with the convention 100 years later. It's still red, black, and green, which expresses the long trajectory and history of our anti-colonial struggle to build power on our own hands, over our own lives, over our own labor. We salute the convention taking place in profoundly difficult conditions, not only because of the COVID-19 virus, but because of the deadly colonial parasitic capitalist violence unleashed on our peoples in its most aggressive expression by the United States government, not only on our people, the Mexicanos, but also the Africans, and also against the peoples of the world. We unite with the ongoing struggles of African peoples to charge genocide against the US government, for reparations to the African peoples, and for Black community control of the police, amongst many other struggles. We are determined to build our history of principled political relationship amongst the African and Mexican people, that because we have shared this long trajectory of political solidarity, not only with the APSP and the Uhuru movement, but with all other oppressed and colonized people. And we know that our history of struggle is rooted in a political unity for our people's self-determination and liberation struggle and for socialism. We are honored to be amongst you, comrades, the best sons, the best daughters and sons of the African people, determined to be free. Uhuru.
Uhuru, the next solidarity statement will be from APDEP, Dr. Aisha Fields. Uhuru.
Uhuru. On behalf of the membership and leadership of the All African Peoples Development and Empowerment Project, I want to salute this 2020 convention of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. Established in 2007 by the African People's Socialist Party, APDEP is one of the mass organizations of the Uhuru Movement and one of 3 nonprofits initiated by the party. APDEP's mission is to collectivize the skills of African people around the world in order to build concrete community-based development programs in the areas of agriculture, education, and healthcare. APDEP is a strategy of the African Revolution, created in order to deny the colonizer nation access to Africa's skills by winning unity with the understanding that African people's skills belong to and must be used for the benefit of Africa and African people in our struggle for self-determination and self-government. As sister organizations, both birthed by the African People's Socialist Party, APDEP and our entire membership are invested in the success of this convention and of NPDOM as a whole. We salute the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela. We salute the chairman for developing the theory and practice of African internationalism, which guide the work of NPDOM, APDEP, and the other organizations, departments, and institutions of the Uhuru Movement. We salute NPDOM, our sister organization, the primary mass organization of the Uhuru Movement, for its long history as a fighting organization for the African working class, as the organization that meets African people at our political door and teaches us if we are willing to fight. I want to salute the leadership of President Kalambayi and Danette, the international president of NPDOM, for her exemplary leadership and for her daily struggle to win the African working class to their fighting organization, recognizing that we must bring the masses of African people into active political life and that the African working class must lead. I want to salute the NPDOM International Executive Committee and all of the members and leaders around the world who are daily working to unite the African nation, using NPDOM as one of our most important vehicles for forwarding the African revolution. I look forward to the political summations, presentations, discussions, and deliberations that will happen over this weekend and unite with the significance of building NPDOM in this tremendous period of African resistance. 100 years later, it's still red, black, and green. We must fight and build until it's won. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru, comrades. My name is Yejide Orumila. I'm the president of the African National Women's Organization, and I'm so pleased to be invited to give this solidarity statement today. The African National Women's Organization, or ANWO, salutes the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement on 28 years of staunch leadership, defending the rights of poor and working class African people in the United States and around the world. ANWO unites with this call of this convention, which goes beyond defense, but for training our people to take the offensive, to gain new territory and to win new Africans to the position of making the African revolution. This is a fight that we are winning. NPDOM brings us closer to the final conclusion, which is that we must be free. NPDOM makes manifest the theory of African internationalism, developed by the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, Omali Yeshitela, which asks and answers the questions: what are we fighting for? Are we fighting to get a bigger piece of the colonizer's pie, or would we rather trash the pie and control the fields that grow the wheat for the flour, the forests that produce the fruit, the factories that make the tools, and the kitchens that produce the food that feed our people? Of course, we want the whole damn thing. Like NPDOM, the African National Women's Organization is a strategy developed by the African People's Socialist Party to forward the revolution by ensuring the full participation of African women in revolutionary political life.
African women comprise more than half of the African nation. Therefore, we must see it as imperative that total liberation of our people includes the ingenuity, the labor, and genius of African women. Our movement mirrors the African nation, where African women lead in our communities on many different issues. I'm so pleased to see the amazing African women and men of Impedum forwarding the work of the African Revolution. For far too long, Africans have suffered under the weight of colonial domination. We have been run around in circles and steered away from our due course of freedom by having false freedom laid before us in the form of neo-colonial leaders and shaky policy. Yet we continue to see Africans dying in the streets at the hands of the police and white vigilantes in the metropoles of Europe and the domestic colonies of the Americas and South Africa. In our communities, internecine conflicts or horizontal violence is spurred on by harsh conditions of colonial life. Our people are becoming more and more disillusioned as the colonial resolutions leave us in the same place year after year. This convention, Impedum, breaks us away from the tap dancing neo-colonialist petty bourgeoisie that are meant to keep us happy in our misery. Impedum gives us the machete to clear the path to freedom. It's a path that may have fallen trees and thick brush, but Impedum, armed with the African internationalism, equips the African masses of poor and working class people with the tools we need to fight and to win. To see past the colonial fog, the shroud, the red lip, big teeth grins of white power toward a future where African working class leaders are defining our new reality. Our new reality is being built by African women, African same gender loving and trans folk, African men and children in Impedum. This is the future. Congratulations to the entire membership body of Impedum and its magnificent leadership in the form of Comrade President Kalambayi Andanette, one of Africa's best daughters. Uhuru, we are winning. Victory to oppress colonized African people around the world. Uhuru in struggle.
Uhuru. In Lingala, the meaning of the name Elikia means hope, and Ingoma means dance in East Africa, which makes perfect sense for our next segment. The next presenter is my comrade, Elikia Ingoma, and Elikia truly embodies the true definition of a revolutionary culture worker, and I expect you all to dance to the inspiring music that you are about to hear. She will lead us through the powerful African national fight song. And even though we're muted, we should all proudly sing along. Uhuru Elikia.
Uhuru, thank you, Comrade Jennifer, for that introduction. First, I want to salute President Kalambayi for this International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement convention. I also want to salute our chairman, Omali Ishitela, as well as Secretary General, African Socialist International, for your leadership in holding this convention. And lastly, I want to salute or thank Comrade Maximella for asking that the African Nation Fight song be on the program for this convention. This song is an original song of the African People's Socialist Party, which came about as a result of leadership from Chairman Omali Ishitela. And as far as the lyrics between the leadership of Chairman Omali Ishitela and Secretary General Luwezi Kinshasa. And this song is really African internationalism in a very condensed form, in a very easily consumable form, which African internationalism is anyway. We uphold the red, black, and green flag, which this year is the 100th year anniversary of the creation of that flag by Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. We uphold Marcus Garvey. We uphold the question of a single African national identity. We talk about the need for revolution. We know that the revolution is going to be led by the poor and working class. We understand that we are fighting against parasitic capitalism. We uplift IET and the revolution that ended in 1804. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, his leadership, and his quote to couper tête, brûler caille, which means to burn houses, cut heads, burn houses. We uphold Malcolm X, Fannie Lou Hamer, Patrice Lumumba. We talk about all of these things in this song. And in the demo version of this song, you will hear different African styles coming in and out to show that it all blends in together very well. So up on your screens will be a demo version of this song. It's not the official song recording yet, but it's a demo version, as well as the lyrics so that you can sing along as you can read along as you are learning this song, Uhuru.
Israel to Africa, we are winning. Shout Uhuru for our freedom. We are winning. We'll dance and sing songs when revolutions won. We are winning. Africa's best daughters and sons. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Red, black, and green for you and me. We are winning. Won't stop the fight till we are free. We are winning. African workers, we must unite. We are winning. Against white power, the parasite. We are winning.
We are winning. Uhuru, I love that song. Okay, so rising from the wake of the aftermath of the 2014 Ferguson uprising, our then soon to be president, Columbai, found herself struggling to understand the social conditions Africans face in our communities every day. Church and religion, which was then the center of her background, were no longer enough to ideologically explain the very real and tangible situations and circumstances of our parent crises. In August of that same year, Columbai had the great fortune of meeting the Uhuru movement in the form of our chairman, Omali Yeshitela, who was the only identifiable force on the ground, summing up the African community's issues with real science and a comprehensive method for overturning its contradictions via African internationalism. With a grassroots perspective and passion for the people, along with coming into political life through political education, Columbai hit the ground running and was key in establishing what would become the St. Louis branch of MPDM. Today, Columbai continues to work tirelessly to win the masses of Africans and the poor working class to the principles of African internationalism through real to what end organization. It's an honor to announce the President's Report delivered by our very own President Columbai Antoinette, Uhuru Columbai.
Uhuru! Uhuru! Uhuru, comrades! Uhuru! 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 Fist up! Fight back! Fist up! Fight back! Fist up! Fight back! No surrender! No compromise! No surrender! No compromise! We would never surrender and we would never compromise. Uhuru! So the next slide. I just really want to start off appreciating my leadership, my direct leadership, the leadership of the African nation, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. I just really salute Chairman for laying out a theory that helps African people for the first time in their life to be able to see a future. And we're going to talk a lot about theory and how important that is. So I just want to salute Chairman for taking a stand 50 years ago and never surrendering, never compromising, and bringing African people and understanding the fundamentals of organization. So Uhuru to our leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. I want to appreciate Deputy Chair Onizine Yeshitela, the leader of all of our economic institutions. And I just felt that it was very appropriate to salute Deputy Chair Onizine Yeshitela. A lot of our manuals and how we function in meetings and things have came directly out of her office. So she leads all the economic institutions, but when she came to St. Louis Ferguson, she literally poured life on life and just really helped me understand what it means to be a revolutionary and a leader of the African People's Socialist Party, to lead the masses and understand that we are not just the African working class, but we are the greatest attachment of the African working class. And so our stance and how we have to be amongst the people to win the people to a deeper understanding of what we need to do to win our liberation. So we want to salute Deputy Chair Onizine Yeshitela for her brilliance. Her stance is worthy to be emulated. Uhuru. 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 Yes, I have this big goofy smile on because the truth of it is that one individual, charismatic speakers and all that is just not good enough, but we have to build organization. And organization and this, the IEC, the executive committee of EPDM is why we're here today. We couldn't get here without this leadership body right here that works under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, that reports regularly to the office of the chairman and the central committee. These brothers and sisters have worked hard to make it to the finish line. We made it to the finish line, comrades. My team, I appreciate you all. Fofi out of St. Louis is our economic development coordinator. She does so much with building Uzi and bringing the revenue stream. This is one of the departments that you can't really fluff because either you got the money or you don't. It always show up. It always show itself out because in the practical work. We say that we have to build contending and dual power. And so I just really want to salute Comrade Fofi for all the work that she have done on the executive committee. Uhuru Fofi. Uhuru. I really want to appreciate and salute my secretary, Marissa, out of Seattle. Marissa is a fireball, and she really helps. The secretary is so important to fighting for them action items and making sure that we stay on course, that we following our protocols, that we writing our POAs, that we carrying it out the way it's supposed to be carried out, that we are responding to the things that we need to respond to. So Marissa, we appreciate your service, on the executive committee. Uhuru, Marissa. Uhuru. San Diego, man, I don't know what's in the water in San Diego, but I love it. And we need to put that water everywhere African people are, because some firework is happening. And out of the flames of San Diego, we are building cadre, not just mass forces, but people to lead the mass forces, which is super critical. So I just really want to salute Luwambi. Luwambi is our membership and outreach coordinator. And we just really want to salute Luwambi. He has been doing incredible work from, doing the groundwork on winning Africans to political education. And he's a real big key point in San Diego of how we have grown tremendously in the San Diego area. So Uhuru Luwambi. Uhuru! And I really want to salute and appreciate Dr. Masamela Odom. This comrade has led the African Shore genocide work and has, just stepped up tremendously, way more than just the chair of African Shore genocide. But he has been like the Scottie Pippen, the new Scottie Pippen of the IEC, that have stepped in some tremendous, a lot of different roles, and in a lot of ways have been my right hand. In my report, I'm going to talk about, the ideas of having a vice president and why EPDM needs that in the period that we're in now. So I just really want to salute these revolutionaries of the executive committee for all the incredible hard work that we have done. It has not been without contradiction. It has not been without criticism and self-criticism, but we struggle and we fight, and we have made it here to this convention to push out where we're going for 2021. So Uhuru, comrades. Uhuru! I can't move it without saluting and appreciating Chairman Tafari for all his incredible work that he has been doing as the chairman of Africa, and all the work that he has been doing in leading the organization. And Chairman Tafari has been a key force that has been building EPDM on the ground in Africa, wherever we are, and places that we're not at, laying out a plan for us to be there as well. So I just really want to salute Chairman Tafari that has participated in the building of this convention, and where we have had a pre-convention with various different areas that will be given reports. And so I just really want to salute all the incredible work that we have been doing, because it's so important. And in my report, I'm going to talk about how the IEC has to recognize that we are an international organization, that we can't just be locked in and glued in the US, but we have to be able to give leadership and be accountable to wherever we are, and how moving forward in this convention, we're going to talk about putting things in place to make sure that we overturn that contradiction, where we're not paying the necessary attention to places like Africa and the islands and places like that. We have to be able to get reports, and how reports will be turned in, how are we going to be building? This has to be a question on our minds. Uhuru. Uhuru. Comrade Masamela. Uhuru. Comrade Masamela, you know, in this last quarter, we have seen and we have grown, and these are great growing pains. As the IEC, we had the virus hit, and we had lots of plans when we came out of the convention in 2020, in building from the political report by Chairman Amali Yeshitela that mandated EPDM to build offices wherever we are. And we haven't, we don't abandon a mission. You know what I'm saying? We have to see that out. But we was confronted with this colonial virus that had hit, and we had to shift our plans on how in midway, we had to, you know, and it's like that sometimes when you see the world changing right before you, but we never could just decide that this coronavirus hit, and so now we just stopped organizing. The African People's Socialist Party formed the People's War Committee, and members of the IEC were played different roles in this ad hoc committee. And EPDM, the executive committee, we came together and we said, how do we we ensure that we continue to build membership, political education, and engaging the forces? And I'm excited to say we did that. You know, we were able to do that by various different programs. And Masamela is here because he played a tremendous role in, you know, the Burning Spear Study Group. Other members of the IEC, Comrade Lawambi with Quarantine and Chill, myself and another comrade out of San Diego, Tiana, played a role in Talk Black to Me, and various different programs where we were able to sum up the reality, what was happening right now with the virus and Africans being murdered, taking on different slogans like Black Power Matters, Black Lives will never matter until we get Black Power. So everything that we've seen the party doing, EPDM embodies it to take and make it baby food to pour out to the masses, because that was our responsibility. In this time, we also experienced tremendous growing pains because we noticed that we were growing everywhere, and we needed to have things in place where we had leadership that could be, you know, people can have access to. And so from what I know is that the 6 years that I have been the international president, we have never had a vice president. But it's reasons that I just said, and reasons that will come out later on in some of the developments and the things that we're doing on the grounds in various different places. It is very important that we have a vice president, because we have to be able to provide leadership no matter where we at in the world. In this period right now, as we're growing, we have to make sure that we get a report, that the political line has to be correct. It has to be clear, that we cannot have places where we don't know and we're not providing the leadership on what's the goals and the objectives of EPDM, and how we, in, you know, the political line, taking on certain questions that we have to win in the African colony, wherever we are. Questions like the nation, you know what I'm saying, that we are African. We have to win that. We have to continue to put it out and say it, that we are not these subtitles that people call us, but the masses have to understand that that red, black, and green is their flag, that they are African, that their land is Africa, and everything that is on the land of Africa belongs to you, and someone else is living off our birthright. So this is something that we have to take on, that we're not fighting racism. Racism is ideas in white people's head. We can't fight those things. We have to continue to post and put out political education, take it to the community, that we are fighting colonialism, that Black Lives Matter is counterinsurgency. I'm jumping in front of myself. Let me slow down. Okay. And so, you know, Masamela has been identified as the second in secondary leadership. As a vice president, according to our constitution, which we will talk about on day 3, which is tomorrow of the convention, you will learn that the vice president is a non-voter. The vice president is appointed by the president. And the reason why the vice president is a non-voter, because this person is not elected by the membership, but it's appointed by the president. And so it would be democratic. It wouldn't be democratic of us to have a person that is identified by the president. It's like I would have 2 votes. You know, I could deal the fraction and all this crazy stuff. And I love that, you know, we are not simply just organizing, but we want power. And so what we are doing are engaging in, you know, building a new world, transforming the way we see ourselves as just workers, as people that is going to construct a new world. And so, you know, the vice president is someone that is identified by the president and brought to the executive committee to be approved. And I think that Masamela will be access to EPDM is very important in this period for us to move in this way so we can make sure that the IEC meetings are happening and the leadership is constantly engaged and we are giving regular reports to and being held accountable to the central committee of the party and Chairman Amalia Chatella. Next slide. In the beginning, I just really appreciate Chairman Amalia Chatella. I don't know if I have all the words to say how, and I know people say it all the time, but I have seen lives change from the theory of African internationalism. I have seen people go from low self-esteem to confident Africans, learning how to fight, being afraid of everything, literally being taught to be afraid from religion that teaches us to be afraid of our own knowledge, to be afraid of our own greatness, never ask the questions, never knowing exactly how to fight. And the theory of African nationalism is critical, comrades. But this theory don't work outside of practice. It don't work outside of the Uhuru movement. And so it's so critical for us in this movement to understand that it is a crime that you should be charged to get this kind of understanding to just have conversations. No, we have to be evangelists to spread the good news to the world that we have a way, we have the answer. You know, we have the theory that is going to bust this wide open. We have to have boldness and confidence in that to make sure that we are going everywhere spreading the good news. When you have the good news, when you know you got that deal, you know, and you want to spread, you want everybody to get the deal. Yo, I'm telling you, I got the lick. This is the lick. African internationalist is the theory to bring us home, to take Africa back and all African people. And so we have to have the confidence in that. And I was reading the first political report that was written by Chairman Amalia Chatella in 1991 in Chicago, Illinois, in the founding convention. And I was struck in the first paragraph how relevant it is to today. I was just flabbergasted that this literally could have been written and given to this convention right here, and everything was on point. It was a prediction, you know, of exactly how the destruction of the 60s and revolution and how it was an attack against Black power when they murdered Malcolm X, they murdered King, they murdered the Panthers, they murdered our leaders, they shoved Chairman Amalia Chatella in jail cells. They meant to smash for us to never, ever have anything that ever looks like Black power again. This is no small thing. This is huge. And we can see the contradictions. We see that cadre, you know, African cadre has been murdered, you know, but we still have Chairman Amalia Chatella that is still on the ones and twos, that's building the African nation, building the African People's Socialist Party, and building the EPDM, and understood that at that moment that the party had to intervene in building EPDM. How the counterinsurgency The next slide, I think I'm headed myself. Yeah, thank you. You know, the counterinsurgency, the petty bourgeoisie and white liberals and spiritual leaders and puppet government office holders, the Democratic Party, they all came together and united against the African working class. They used the smashing of our leaders in the 60s to their advantage, and we see it today. That's what struck me, is that I'm reading this report and saying that this is why EPDM has to be built. This has to be a vehicle to help the African working class to fight for the democratic rights everywhere we are. Such campaigns had to be built. No matter where we are, we have to be engaged and keeping our ears to the street, understanding things like, you know before coming into political life, I didn't care what a politician was doing or voting or any of these things, or why I would participate, because I seen it as a failure. I seen it as something that could not work for me. But understanding why I felt like that, I didn't understand. But the theory helped me to understand why. Because this system was built on the theft of African people, that because this is colonialism, that is built to continue to destroy me. So it's appropriate for me to not have any confidence in it. But I have to know how to fight within it to destroy it. I have to understand, I have to be connected or have our own party that is built as a machine, just as the Democratic Party machine. What do I mean by that? The Democratic Party do not sleep. This machine constantly is engaged in destroying Africans' life. It is constantly engaged in that. The state is, you know, in the US, in Africa, wherever we are, no matter if it's a puppet politician in the townships in Africa or wherever we are confronted with these puppet politicians and the petty bourgeoisie and white liberals that have united, and spiritual leaders that has united to participate in counterinsurgency so African people would never be liberated. And that's why EPDM had to be built. And that's what we have to understand coming out of this convention, that we have to have a way to win the masses, to be able to see and hear the interest for themselves. This is super critical, and I just really want everybody to be able to have access to this first political report, to really understand and have a deeper understanding of what EPDM is and why we have campaigns, that we are under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, the vanguard party, that is a revolutionary party where we get our leadership from. So we would never fight for anything that would sell out the long-term goal of revolution. That we understand that that is the only way out is revolution. But even though we will participate and fight for the democratic rights, such as Black community control of the police, Africans charged genocide, reparations now. But all of these are revolutionary demands that have to be in the hands of the African working class. They are the ones that have to make these demands. The petty bourgeoisie, the white liberals, spiritual leaders, these puppet politicians are not qualified. They're not qualified to make these demands because they would sell out a certain sector of our community every single time. They can't even see or imagine African people, the African working class, being free. They have no confidence in it at all. But the African People's Socialist Party do. And that's why the African People's Socialist Party is the vanguard party that we get our leadership from. And that makes our character as an organization different than anything else in the world. Next slide. Where are we going? You know, we have to know that we have to build everywhere. Not just saying we building, but we have to win blocks. We have to win synagogues, the churches, the schools, everywhere we are, the culture workers. All African people have to be brought back into a process of liberation. And that's where we're going. Where we're going is building contending and dual power. Where we're going is to build Black community control of the police, not asking, building it. You know, and it comes from winning African people to say that that is my demand. You know what I'm saying? And once the people demand it, it's ours. But we have to win territory. You know, we can think great things and everything. We know we have the answer, but you have to win the masses to the side of the right side of the question to understand that this is your demand and it has to be a household word. These are the things that we have to be engaged in. And through this convention, in various different panel discussions, we're going to deepen that whole conversation. Next slide. Campaigns like Reparations Now. Reparations cannot be left to the Democrat Party. The only reason why the Democrat Party is even participating or acting like they are having a conversation around reparations is because of the work of the African People's Socialist Party. Yes, I said it. Having the first tribunal in 1982. I hope I have that year right, off the top of my head. You know, having the first tribunal, the African People's Socialist Party, you know, and just very qualified revolutionary party. The Revolutionary Party is the machine that can't sleep. It continue to move. We have to have our own machine to destroy another machine that don't sleep. The Democrat Party don't care who got cancer. It don't care who dog died. It don't care. It moves and it's built by people that is relentless on colonialism, capitalism, and colonizing the world. And so the African People's Socialist Party is a vanguard party that's built by people that don't sleep, that is continuing to fight no matter what, no matter who we lose, no matter how tired we get, no matter what. We say that Africa must be liberated. And one of the biggest criticisms is we take that very seriously. We say that Africa must be liberated. Africa must be, everybody must stop looting Africa, and we have total liberation over our life. Our kids have to be able to walk down the street with Skittles in their hand and make it home safe. The police could not continue to shoot down African women and African men and children down in the street, the various different ways that we die. That the only way that we can stop horizontal violence, what they call Black on Black violence, is us to make a revolution. The only way that we're going to stop the dope in our community or the so-called self-love or the depression that African people are slumped down in is to fight for our liberation. That is the cure. The cure to depression is fighting for your liberation. So reparation is a campaign that is an international campaign that has to be taken out wherever we are, from Africa, from the US, from the Bahamas, from the UK, wherever we are. We have to be reading the newspapers. We have to be doing our reports to find every crime that they have committed against our people. And we have to be going to townships. We have to be getting in these puppet politicians' face saying reparations now. Why is this not on your platform? Why are you not down there demanding that we get reparations from African people? We have to take this out, comrades. We can't just talk about it, but we have to literally take this door to door, hood to hood, church to church, synagogue to synagogue. Uhuru. African Shores Genocide. In this last quarter, Comrade Chair of African Shores Genocide, Masamela Odom, had a virtual tour where we was able to execute it and raise lots of money that he would be giving a report about. And numerous of people have signed this petition, and we took the database and we put that database within our list box. So now people who signed the African Shore Genocide petition is a contact, so we can constantly engage these forces and bring them into organization, and just understanding that this is genocide, that African people, Chairman said that African Shore Genocide is super critical for the masses to understand, to be equipped, to have it part of their dialogue, conversations every day. We need everybody in the barbershop, in the trap house, talking about genocide, understanding what genocide is, seeing the genocide in their life. Once you look at what they say genocide is, you see African people, you see the charge America with the genocide of African people. And so this is a campaign that is an international campaign, and these are perfect campaigns for people that might be one, might be two. When Chairman came to St. Louis Ferguson, it was one person that was getting the Burn the Spear newspaper. That's all we needed. That's all the party needed. And came and hit the ground and recruited me, recruited Fofi, and, you know, pulled together a meeting. And now, you know, St. Louis is, again, being one of our biggest branches here on the ground. And so, you know, it's no excuses. We have to lose the excuse. We waiting on this, we waiting on that. We can't wait no longer. Liberation is, we have to fight for liberation like our life depend on it, because our life do. If you can't breathe, then you're gonna fight like hell to get some air. If you ever had somebody choke you out, or if you had an anxiety attack, you know how it feels to feel like you can't breathe. And when you feel like that, you fight relentless to get to breathe. Well, African people have not been able to breathe for 600 years. So we have to fight relentless. We have to fight regardless. And we have to find a exciting way to fight, because nobody want to join you looking with your face all long and looking like you're stressed out and, oh my God, this and oh my God, that. They want to enjoy the excitement. You know, that's how you build a mass. That's how you build a social movement. People want to be involved in the social excitement. And we have to make revolution excitement. We have to make it excitement to talk about genocide, to make it exciting to bust this wide open, and how we found ourselves, that I was an African woman that was attacked by this social school system. You know, this school system failed me terribly, but that is not a contradiction that I have alone, because African people all over the world are confronted with that. And with these colonial schools and how they demonize our kids and make learning something that you don't even want to do. And so this is genocide. You know, this is genocide, how they schools continue to oppress our children. And so we be excited about having that good news to spread it to somebody else that feel alone. Because a lot of times you feel like I'm all by myself. And once we open our big mouth and started talking to each other about what we're experiencing, we see how united, we see how connected we are, that we are colonized people, our struggle is the same. So no longer you could be by yourself feeling shamed, but you're equipped with a theory to help you to understand exactly why these things have happened to you, why your son was murdered, why your son murdered somebody. You know, we find ourselves in all these crazy situations because of colonialism and how it shows itself in our life in various different ways. And how we redeemed our family back is through fighting for the democratic rights, coming back into political life, learning how to swing and fight. We regain our confidence. Uhuru. You know, Uzi in this last quarter, led by Fofi, our economic development coordinator, and myself as a designer. You know, I went to school for design, and I, you know, have did a lot of various different work, but Uzi is not just, you know, a clothing brand. You know, it's much more than that. It is a revolutionary clothing brand that is building socialism, teaching us and helping us to understand that. And we experienced that, you know, an amazing brand that was given to us by the Office of Deputy Chair. And so we have been engaged in having meetings with the Office of Deputy Chair and her office with laying out becoming an LLC under Black Star Industries. You know, really taking Uzi to the next level. And it's being built by the African working class. And I think I'm so excited to be a part of this and see the men and women that has partnered with Uzi and joined the Uzi team by being a member or just being a model or whatever. But I have seen how Uzi is another thing that everywhere we are, we have to be engaged. We cannot just simply think that we are professional protesters, because we're not. You know, EPDM is not an organization that are just professional protesters. We go to the protest and have a to what end. We go to the protest collecting contacts. We go to the protest, you know, to win them to what end, to deepen what's happening there. We are not Black Lives Matter. They just protest the protest for the Democratic Party and their agenda. But we go to the protest to win African people to understand that we must fight back. Resistance is good, but it has to have a revolutionary demand. And so Uzi, we have models. We have had models tell us that this is the most incredible work they have ever did because they felt beautiful. They didn't have to feel demoralized from the process of being a model. You know, that, you know, they felt like, okay, this is how I can contribute to fight back. I unite with the theory. I unite with, you know, Uzi being a revolutionary clothing line and building, contending, and dual power. And also the designers, I would like to really appreciate, you know, Jordan Fly, which is a designer. And I also would like to appreciate Candace, another designer that has been working with Uzi very, very hard in this last period. Because a lot of designers and artists sometimes are very hard, have this rebel attitude and this entitlement type of issue. And colonialism teaches us that I gotta get mine before you get yours. You know, I can't help build you, or what about me type syndrome. But these designers have seen to build Uzi is building themselves. To build Uzi is building the African nation. And so I really salute these other artists and know that we're going to recruit more artists. And this is another great way to build organization wherever you are. So Uzi being an LLC is going to provide, in Fofi's report, she's going to talk about how you can have a buy-in with Uzi. And wherever you are, this is another way, because some of the people that we win through Uzi is not people that we would have won. We wouldn't have met these people, you know, but it gave us the opportunity to deepen their understanding of how, you know, this social system bleeds us to death. So even if you're an artist that think you got to get yours first, you're not, because white power is sitting at the table with you. And so we have to understand the difference between understand social systems. I know I didn't understand that. And I know that, you know, the more that we talk here in St. Louis, in the hood, one thing that we have to win wherever we are to help people to understand capitalism and socialism. What is that? What is capitalism? What do it look like? Because we don't want to build Black capitalists. Capitalism in anybody's hands is bad. We don't want capitalism. And so we have to help win the masses to even understand that it's a social system that's oppressing us. And that's why we can't buy into Black Lives Matter. We have to buy into Black Power Matter, because Black Power speaks to a social system that is built on your oppression. And so even if it comes in a form of Chinese or Arab or white or Black, any capitalist is one that that is an enemy of the people. And so we have to really understand that. And so Uzi provide us, you know, vending resources, because if you don't have resources, you can't do anything. You can have the right theory and you don't have no resource to execute what you need to, is not going anywhere. So we have to understand that we have to build contending and dual power. We have to have an economic way to fund the revolution. And in the process of doing that, it also builds confidence in people that never knew how to do a LLC, you know, didn't know what that was, knew what it was, but, you know, felt like I can't do it, or, you know, I need this and I need that. But we now are very skilled and know exactly how to do that, you know, to be able to teach the people in our community how, you know, to build economic development, which is something critical, because we don't want in the African colony, the only economy exists is a dope economy that white power placed in our community. That is a contradiction. And that is a democratic attack against our people, that the only way that you can feed yourself is something that is murdering you at the same time. like Chairman Omali Yeshitela eloquently explained in Wolf, you know, and so Uzi is super critical because we want to transform the way African people see themselves and how we trade amongst ourselves, but not just buying Black, but the campaign that comes out of the Office of Deputy Chair's office, don't just buy Black, but buy Black power. And so really helping Africans to understand the question, socialism versus capitalism is critical to the work that we're doing. And Uzi is a great way for branches and members to be able to engage those kind of conversations. Uhuru. Next slide. The region strategy, why we, on day 3, we're going to talk about the region strategy. The African People's Socialist Party, you know, in the 7th Congress laid out the region strategy, and we have broke up into a region, a way of looking at it. And one of the things EPDM, you know, that gets its leadership and character from the party, see that it's appropriate for us to say that we need region reps on the executive committee, that we need to have a region person that will be responsible for that area to build EPDM everywhere, that this person will travel to places and, you know, be on boots on the ground to find out like exactly winning the ideas of the people wherever we are to build branches, to be able to go in and deepen, you know, how to educate and how to help organize, how to have a seamless process of how we do things. And so having a region person that will be tied to the African People's Socialist Party and brought to the executive committee is super critical to the way forward for EPDM, so we can make sure that we, what we want to do is make sure that we have leadership around the board that is responsible for areas to build wherever we are. So we don't just continue to just have one area in the Midwest, but we want to be able to cover the whole map. And so the region strategy is critical for us to do. And like I said earlier, that our mandates, like, you know, building offices is still, we have to, you know, do that. We know that we had the coronavirus and things like that, but areas have to build economic development to have office spaces, because in the region, we need to have hubs, EPDM spaces where people can go, chill, hang out, a poetry event, shoot pool, come in and say, hey, the police messing with me. My landlord is a slumlord. They trying to put me out. I stay in this building and they don't pick up my trash. No matter what it is, they have to have a place, an outsource of a place where they can come to leadership and raise these democratic rights and these struggles. Next slide. Recruiting, you know, recruiting is key. We have to recruit. We have to ask ourselves, you know, who are we talking to? Who are we recruiting? If you've been a member for a year and you haven't recruited anyone yet, what I'm saying is maybe you need to change your circle. Like maybe we need to look at the strategy. Maybe we have to look at where we're going. I said this, you know, I know when I first came in, the first, you know, the easiest people, which is great, recruit your family, you know, but families can have all kind of contradictions and, you know, they come in because they like you, but we want to win people to the theory, not win people to ourselves, but we want to win people to understand the theory. So recruit your family, but you have to move outside of just your family. You have to move outside of that. You have to push yourself to get uncomfortable. You know, you have to, you know, find out where they're having town hall meetings at in your area. You know, what's the neighborhood church? You know, what is going on? Where are the people at? And you got to go. You got to go with those burning spirits, that clipboard, and even if you have to make a generic flyer on your phone and print it out on what's going on. Is this a school issue? You know, let's build on the school issue, but we have to understand recruitment is key. And we cannot be okay with week after week not recruiting. If we got to go back to the old school, you know, if it's knocking on the door and saying, hey, my name is Kalambayi. I'm with the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement. I live in your block. I wanted to tell you about our organization. We've been fighting for the liberation of African people for over 50 years. here's a pamphlet, blah, you know, et cetera, you know, and the burning spirit. But we have to recruit, comrades. We have to recruit. It has to be the thing on our brains constantly that we need branches, that we need to recruit, block captains, et cetera. We have to have a recruiting strategy. And so in this convention, and even the slate that's been put forth has a lot of bearings on our recruitment strategy and how we engage. And once we recruit people, we have to have a seamless process of how we, you know, stay true to our message. We say that EPDM brings Africans into political life. What that look like? How are we going to, as an organization, provide political education on a regular, on a consistent basis? How do we win people from being just a member to being, you know, being a recruit to a member, a member to cadre? A real process of how we appreciate our members, how we engage our members, and how we stay accountable to our members is part of building. Because more people, when people have confidence in being able to explain EPDM and be able to know how to put out the line, then they are more eager to go tell someone else. But when you don't feel confident in that, then you tend to just not do it. So we want our members to be confident in the theory. So we, you know, going to continue to have the Burning Spear study groups and continue to have different programs and our orientation, so we can really make sure that our member base are fighting with the theory and the understanding, clear understanding of what EPDM is and what our mandate and what it is that we are set out to do. I believe that's my last slide. Yes. So I just, again, really want to appreciate my leadership, and I want to salute all of you that are viewing this through Zoom or whatever platform that you watching is on. Like we said in the beginning, that, you know, this conference is, we excited, we all get so excited to see each other, our faces, and be around like-minded people. So this get real exciting. And I really want to encourage you to, you know, take notes, to really hear what's being said and what is being called upon us to do, because the time is now. Imperialism is not dead. We must murder it. Victory is ours. Victory will be ours, but it's not going to happen because we wanted to. It's not going to happen because you prayed on some rock. It's not going to happen because your ancestors was tighter than somebody else's. It's not going to happen because we sung the good Kumbaya song or your uncle was a pastor, whoever. It's going to happen because we worked. It's going to happen because we put in sweat. It's going to happen because we made the necessary sacrifices to make it happen. And no sacrifice is too great for my liberation. No sacrifice is too great for your liberation. And we have to understand that we must seize the opportunity right now where we see imperialism weaken. We in 2020, and baby, I'm talking about lights, camera, action. You can see every pimple on white power's face. It's clear. And so now all we have to do is point them out. You know what I'm saying? And that's what our job is. We have to point it out, and we have to have tactics and strategy, and we have to have an agenda to really seize power, and we have to be disciplined to do that in this period now. We have to be disciplined more now than ever, comrades, because the game has changed, and it is our time to seize power. Uhuru! Uhuru! Big stop! Fight back! Big stop! Fight back! Big stop! Fight back! Get this state off our back! Get this state off our back! Get this state off our back! 2, 4, 6 states. Tell the people who we hate. Democrats, Republicans, the whole damn bunch. Uhuru. 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 Uhuru.
Uhuru, Uhuru. I just want to express extreme gratitude for my President Columbai. That was such a riveting presentation. And I'm so charged up. I'm ready to go organize right now. So from occupied Alabama to occupied Azania, the International Democratic Uhuru Movement remains the primary revolutionary force on the ground, as you can see from our president. Next, let's hear from the occupied Azania branch from Comrade Zekele with a video report. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you very much, Comrade Molife, for giving me this opportunity. First, I would like to salute the leadership. I would like to salute Chairman Omali Yashitela, the leader and the founder of the Uhuru movement. And I would like to salute our President Kalambai, the president of International Democratic Uhuru Movement. And also to salute our chair here, Chairman Tafari Mukairi, who's leading us here in Africa. I'd also like to salute also all the comrades of the Uhuru movement who are part of this glorious organization of the African working class. Uhuru, so I'll be giving a report about Impedam South Africa, the work that we are doing here in occupied Azania, which most people call South Africa. So I'm the national president of Impedam South Africa, but I'm part of the international organization, which is Impedam. We all report to one leadership, which makes us all one organization with one strategy that's spread around the globe. So I represent that structure that says one people, one nation. So this is our report that we're doing here in occupied Azania. So Impedam is evident. Impedam South Africa is evidence that Impedam is an international organization. So we recognize that all Black people around the world are Africans. We are not South Africans, but we are Africans. We are not Zimbabweans like other people refer to us. We recognize ourselves as Africans, simple as that. I was appointed the national president by Chairman Tafari last year, and my goal was to increase members and local branches. So Mbombela was created with Eastern Cape promising. So that was our achievement, and also members. We have increased members of Impedam South Africa. This is what we have done since last year. I've been appointed since the last convention. Under organizational, Impedam is a working class mass organization to fight for the Africans' right wherever we are located. So the struggle is to build the African nation led by the African working class for self-determination in the 21st century by organizing under Impedam, which is one organization. The strategy is informed by the theory of African internationalism created by Chairman Omali Yashitela, the founder of Uhuru movement, which I have an opportunity to meet in 2018, to meet this great men who have brought us this theory of the workers. Because we, as workers, we always believe that the petty bourgeoisie might help us, might lead us to freedom, but they are not there to help us. So the theory says we, the workers, we have to lead ourselves to freedom. So there is the Revolutionary National Democratic Program. The RNDP is a practical program of the African Socialist International. The RNDP responds to the colonial conditions experienced by Africans throughout the world. Here in South Africa, we are also colonized as Africans. So this program of the Impedam respond to our conditions. Wherever we are located, we are facing the same conditions. Even if I've never been to Congo, I know they are colonized, facing the same conditions I'm facing here. They are landless, they don't have anything to survive, they're producing to the white nation. So this program will deal with those conditions that are experienced by Africans around the world. So African internationalism recognize all Black people across the world as one nation, forcefully dispersed around the world. So wherever Africans are located, we see them as one nation, one family that is dispensed by this colonialism, which is a foreign domination by another nation. We as Africans are colonized people in the world. So the work of IMPIDAM here in South Africa include we are following the mandate of Chairman Omali Ashitela, the Chairman of African People's Socialist Party. So, and also African internationalism to transform from a defensive stance into an offensive position based on participation of thousands of members around the world. So the strategy include one, to recruiting Africans into IMPIDAM. By bringing Africans into IMPIDAM, that's how we are going to win this revolution. So we know that the African working class are part of an organization that is led by the revolutionary organization, which is African People's Socialist Party. So we do this by doing outreaches in the community, promoting IMPIDAM and calling Africans to join us who are staying us around the township, and also when we are going out to when we're in the taxis, engaging with people. That's how we do our outreach, and also promote other programs of the movement. We do this also by promoting the African internationalism, the theory of the African working class. We do this through studies in local branches before the convict, the colonial virus, which has been termed by African internationalism as colonial virus. We were giving political education in local branches. Every week we'll have studies and have local meeting of a local executive committee. So when the convict hit us, it affected our work, so we couldn't meet anymore. We moved our studies into a WhatsApp group. So we have a WhatsApp group where we provide our political education every morning. We share there all our work that we do and promote the events of the Uhuru movement and IMPIDAM. So that's the work we are doing here in occupied Azania, promoting all the work everywhere we are. So we also have a program which is under the BLA, which is Better Life Association. This is a non-profit organization with institutions and programs that addresses the grave disparities in health, education, and economic development faced by the African community, and defending the human and civil rights of African communities. It was through the BLA that we provided information about the COVID-19. We went out before there was a lockdown, before the government came to our township. We went out with the BLA, provided the communities with the information of this colonial virus, on how to prevent it and how it spread. Before they were talking about that, it can spread with the air. We provided that information long time ago through the UPDEP, which I would also like to appreciate Comrade Aisha Field, which is leading that program, where we are receiving healthcare as African workers provided by the African working class to the African nation, where you can have an opportunity to access healthcare online. You can access your healthcare using an UPDEP, which is an organization at Uhuru movement. So Better Life Association will also be playing that kind of role, and also teaching how people to manage waste management in the township, which we will include a project called Tutugani, to help the Black African working class to clean our communities. On political and ideological front, we in PDAM South Africa are doing it through leadership development. We give political education that we provide through the WhatsApp group. They give African working class a chance to have an understanding of how the world operates, how also to be in an organization. This helps us to produce local leaders, to lead local branches, and also to be in the National Executive Committee. We also, this political education also give the members a way to analyze the world in a different manner or perspective than they receive from the mainstream media. So we are giving them the perspective of African internationalism. So the WhatsApp group is for sharing and providing studies. So since there's no longer local branches cannot meet and do weekly meetings, the WhatsApp group is there for us to use it for providing the weekly studies and all that, and information that we need. So we also have under this ideological, we have an Azanian weekly rep. Its objective is to contest the political platform by taking out African internationalism narrative to trending issues and win people to African internationalism. So with this Zanyan weekly rep, we contest issues that are happening here in Occupy Azania in the week. So we give the African working class an African internationalism perspective. Every Friday it goes out. So that's what the MPDAM it does. So, and we also do, when we go out, when we do the outreach under this political front, we go out with to do like placards to challenge people. Like now, when we are under these lockdowns, we cannot do much work, but we do placards and show people to join the movement by using the same slogans that have been used in America to show that we are one people, such as Black Power Matters. That's what we are bringing here, like saying, if they are saying we are Black Lives Matters and African internationalism says Black Power Matters, that's what we have to take here also in Occupy Azania to the people, to say they have to understand that it's not about Black lives. Black lives won't matter until Black Power matters. So that's the work we're doing here in Occupied Azania. So we also have an economic front. Under economic front is very exciting front, since Uhuru movement is always struggling in every front, political, ideological, and economical. We are happy that Comrade, I would like to appreciate the sister, Comrade, sister, the deputy chairwoman, One Yashitela, who gave the Impidam Uzi to say this is for Impidam, which is a clothing we can use here in Africa, or as Impidam to recruit members, and also to generate income for Impidam, so we can build offices for the organization. So I would like to appreciate Deputy Chairwoman for giving the Uhuru movement that Uzi. I salute you, Deputy Chairwoman. So we are always struggling in every front. That's what we are going to do. We are excited about the developments of the Uzi. I hope they will help us to win more Africans and also make strong our organization here in Africa. In closing is what is coming up here in occupied Azania, SMP Dam. We want to make sure that MP Dams grows have local branches all over the provinces which are here in this colony called South Africa. So we want to have local branches around and also make sure that everything that we do is being reflected, that is African internationalism. That chairman gave us the blueprint. So that's the report here of MP South Africa. We have been doing the work and we will continue to work forward to make sure that MP Dams grows and becomes strong, and it represents the workers in every townships, so we can fight the conditions that we are experiencing as colonized African nation. So this is Zakhele Mkondo, the national president of MP South Africa. This was my report, the work that we are doing. So we are calling on all Africans here. I'm not in New York now. I'm here in Occupy Azania. I'm speaking English because we are having all Africans which are uniting to building this African nation so we can understand each other. But I'm right here in Pinari, in Mpumalanga, and I'm representing the African working class. We are building to govern. So this is a call to all Africans to build wherever you are located, build Impidam and make sure that we represent the African working class as the African internationalism stipulate. This is the African working class mass organization that will fight for the rights of the Africans here in occupied Azania. As long as we are building, we will win. For as long as Africans are colonized, they will continue to fight. So it is important to build an organization that will make sure that we liberate this continent of Africa. So I would like to give thanks to our chairman, Chairman Tafari, for leading us here in Africa, and also our brothers who are in Ghana and other places. So we are one nation, we're one Africa. This is our convention here in Africa. We are representing Impidam here in Africa. I'm in occupied Azania. Uhuru Comrades.
Uhuru, Brother President. This was the president, the national president of International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement here in occupied Azania, aka South Africa. We say we are not South Africans, we are Africans. We are not South Africans, we are Africans.
We are not South Africans, we are
Africans. We are not South Africans, we are Africans.
Africans. Love it.
Wow. Yeah.
Uhuru, that was an excellent presentation. So glad to hear from Impidum all over the globe. This is your call from occupied Alabama, from occupied St. Louis, from occupied San Diego, all the way to occupied Azania. Next, we are going to prepare for a short intermission before our much anticipated main presentation from our chairman, Omali Ishitela. To return to this meeting, you should use the link that was sent during registration. We'll take 30 minutes for this short intermission, which means that we'll be returning in the Pacific time at 9:57. That's 11:57 Central and 12:57 Eastern. So I'll be greeting you when you return. Uhuru.